Hyperlexia. They didn't even have a name for it till 1967. Well, as far as diagnosis goes. Hmm. All right. Well, I'm 20 minutes early for my 1 o'clock here. Let's make sure I grab more than what's necessary. I tend to do that a lot. But also, I don't necessarily know what it is I'm going to need. Yesterday, I was talking to what agency on the phone while I was looking to see what time it was. I was pretty sure that my appointment was at 3:30. I was going to try to find out what time it was. Make sure that it was at 3:30 and not 3. So I didn't write it. Well, I did write it down on something. I just still can't find what I wrote it on. But apparently the appointment was at 3, and I missed it. As soon as people start the name calling, I tend to start name calling back. I'm real good at it. I'm real good at pissing people off too. People don't like it when you're honest. People love that you're honest until you're honest about them. And then you're a liar. Then you're a horrible person. Then you're evil. Ooh. You get to see how Natalie reacted. Did not like being treated the way that I was treated. And she didn't even have to endure what I was treated. Nobody was threatening to kill her. I was the one having fucking death threats thrown in my fucking face. Having fucking people slapping my hand and fucking pushing me and shit. Telling me they're gonna kill my family and shit. No, not cool. Anyway, I'm at my appointment today. They said they might have something. We'll see what happens. Oh my god, yes! I finally have a cigarette. Uh, One thing I am okay with is being made an example of. And do you know why that is? First of all, if I am put somewhere, that means that my friends and my family are safe. There are more weenies out there who played victim than you can possibly imagine. And I have been more of a dick than you guys can see on the internet. I am not a well-liked person, and I don't care. Of that, you can be certain. I like people who are nice to me. Whether you like me or not is pretty much fucking arbitrary. Just be nice to me. If you got a little bit of an attitude, because you're frustrated. I can understand that. And I do believe that y'all are people. All of you, every one of you. The problem is, are we all treated equal? No. Do we need to strive for equality? No. It's an unattainable goal. However, everybody having a spot of their own, that is not an unobtainable goal. It is not unobtainium we are mining here. It is human lives being wasted every day. And then you wonder why people want to be wasteful with excess. Gonna drink yourself to death, drug yourself to death, eat yourself to death, fuck yourself to death. Well, it's your life. Do with it as you choose. Do with it as you please. Just don't harm others. Spreading rumors harms others. You notice how when people wanted to throw rumors in my face, how I threw rumors in theirs. Fair and equal treatment. Not something I advise. But Lana and Amanda Engline, while I was staying up there, Amanda was as helpful as she could possibly be, given that her mother was so needy. And so is her daughter. And so is she. So before you go saying, oh, Sean, you can't go blaming all these people for all your problems. I'm not. I know why in many of these cases, the people were not able to do what they said they were going to do. Many of them, it's because they're fucking parents. It happens. Many of them, it's because they're taking care of their own families. In an economy like this, it happens. Before too long here, you guys are going to have to go find the hunters and learn how to fucking gut your own rabbits. It's not far from the truth. When Russia dropped in the early 90s, yeah, there was people who had to go out and eat squirrels and stuff like that. There's apartment buildings in Russia that collapsed on themselves because people were using the buildings they lived in for firewood to not freeze to death. It happens. Anyway, I'm going to be late for my appointment. I got like 10 minutes to get in there. I'm supposed to show up 20 minutes early. I got lucky because after having an emotional breakdown like I did yesterday, it's kind of tough emotionally. But I better get in there. Getting the hiccups from that cigarette. The other thing is that when it comes to the drugs out here, the fentanyl and all that, the street people, the police, the mental health workers, the workers at the hospital, the fact that they're all in accordance with what it is that I've been telling you, as far as the go to a fucking dispensary for your weed, god damn it. Don't get it anywhere else. It's not just the weed, and fentanyl isn't a joke. That's the one thing that all of these people universally agree on. It is dangerous. They see it every day. Even in towns like this, people are so busy trying to keep the meth at bay that the fentanyl came in and fucking dropped a bunch of people. A bunch of them. Now we're playing cleanup. my toe's pretty well healed up. At this point right now, I'm just trying to get light on the cane because it's cramping up my hand. I'm trying to get myself back to not wobbling back and forth when I walk, which sends shock up my back. Very painful, not pleasant. It looks like the whole parking lot is clear. Usually there's cars all over the place. It's pretty well empty. There's one car there, but see what's up. I'm not used to seeing it so empty. Of course, it's probably their lunch hour.
What can I help you with?
My name is Sean Schwartz. I was supposed to be here at 1 o'clock.
Did you have an appointment?
Dr. Boggs told me to come in today at 1, so I would assume so.
Okay. All right, if you want to go ahead and have a seat, I'll let her know you're here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did want to tell you your hoodie's really cool.
Thank you.
She'll be out to get you shortly.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Oh, wow, that's cool. So do you guys have this for the people who come in so they know your temperament?
What do you mean?
It says my wheel of emotions.
Oh no, we put it up there because I actually had a lady come in and say that it basically like saved her life. So we all have them up here, so you can just look at it and see where you're at on the wheel.
I don't have one of them.
Huh. Well, Jamie saved my life by talking to me.
There you go.
Hello. I'm gonna be not using this cane here soon, I hope, because my pinky toe's almost healed up. But now it's getting to the point where I'm probably gonna need a cane or a walker full time. It's stupid.
Yeah. It's too bad. Glad to hear your pinky toes healing up.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the problem that I literally deal with everybody is their misunderstanding of autism. I have, hyperlexia is, I'm assuming. 84% of those with it are autistic, and between 6 and 14% of autistic people have it. I had an 8th grade spelling level and a college reading level at the age of 6, so I'm pretty smart. I'm not Donald Trump smart, but most of us aren't smart enough to have $1 million loan from our daddy at 18. I didn't know my daddy could do that. Making jokes probably isn't the best thing to do, but
That's okay.
anyway, I get treated like I'm a liar because I don't look people in the eyes. When I have my nervous tics and it messes with my Tourette's, people just take that as drug use or withdrawals or things like that. I've been recording after recording, even in this town, of people come up to me and offering me free drugs or asking for drugs. I've got recordings from the hospital, from the police, from the 988 line, and from multiple mental health staff, nursing staff, the Tillamook Adventist church. They have staff members there that are nurses, and they also speak about it. There's also the officers, there's video after video on YouTube too. And then there's the street people that keep telling me about it. I mean, that's one thing that everybody is in concordance with, is that right there is a major issue. And it's also a very real danger that anybody that you encounter may potentially put that on just about anything, or possibly have gotten a tainted batch of something. So even smoking weed, people say, well, it's legal for you to smoke weed. I'm like, first of all, it gives me anxiety because it's not legal when you're in public. Second of all, it could have anything on it, and I have a grand total of a $10 weed budget for every month, and I don't even want to smoke the stuff. It gives me anxiety. I know I come in here and I ramble, but that's one of the things about it. The signs of abuse for males tends to be rambling and not shutting up, especially for somebody with severe PTSD, especially people who are hypervigilant. My hypervigilance is often called paranoia, and I do believe, in my personal opinion, that it is a type of paranoia, but it's the difference between being paranoid that every man walking across the parking lot is get you thinking about raping you, and when you're walking across the parking lot and you see somebody who's punched you in the head 10 times in the past, and you want to avoid him because he's punched you in the head 10 times in the past.
Exactly.
One of the other things that I'm dealing with is rules and regulations and protocols to pretend that my disabilities don't exist. When I say they, I mean specifically police officers, the courts, and of course, anybody who may potentially see that as an easy way to prey. And I am preyed on often, and that's the issue I keep going to my friends with. They didn't realize when I hurt my back how horrible they become, because instead of, hey, Sean helps me out all the time, maybe when he's got something to say, maybe I could hang out with him for a little bit, and more came well, I asked you for help last weekend and I offered you $20 and you didn't come by and help me move my stuff. I usually say blosser right after I say that, and look around for it. I also walk up to doors and I say, open sesame. Anyway, I have problems with rambling, but it's not that I'm rambling, it's that I'm completely overwhelmed with my environment, and literally there's nothing that I can do to do the things to take care of myself without taking myself out of this environment. Meanwhile, I'm required to do those things, otherwise I can't get out of this environment. I'm entirely dependent upon different services that are, like I said, running me around in circles. And also, my friends and family don't understand that them talking over me denotes disrespect. I don't mean disrespect in let's just get offended at every kind of way. It's a disrespect. Somebody who's autistic is very small. That window for somebody who's homeless is very small. That window for somebody who's a male is very small. If we don't get it turned in to begin with, we don't get to cut off the behaviors that are being created that are negative against us. Without corrective behaviors, those people continue, they get a big head, and they do it to others, or they do it more frequently. Kind of like when you tell the no consequences for hitting her. You've also taught that little boy that there's no consequences for hitting her, and so he'll do it again. That's why I say William Lowe's that needs to be looked up because he is violent and has been allowed to move on. If I did those things, we'd be in prison for it.
Wow.
I probably shouldn't have dumped that all off at the beginning, but the thing is, when people interrupt me and talk over me or change the subject, for us, when we're in a state of crisis, people tend to talk over us and then they derail the train. Every question, every I understand becomes another derailment of the train. So I was sent to autism specialists to try to get autism specialists to explain autism to the police who wouldn't listen to me when I was explaining about autism. They just wanted to interrupt me and tell me my cousin's autistic or I've got a brother who's autistic. Did I ever tell you that my sister's son is autistic? And I don't mean autistic like you, I mean full autistic. Oh my God, what am I dealing with here? The place that I was sent to, Clearview Behavioral Health, they got little puzzle pieces. I thought autism, my piece to the puzzle. I like the idea, but none of those people are autistic. That's why there's videos that I write down for people to watch. And I did want to do that before I came in, but Lori and Michael, they had an issue yesterday with their son's grandmother abducted him right after the graduation thing. It was his preschool graduation. Well, they took him. Well, I think it was Lori's mom that took him. So they're having a hard time, and also there was a blow up between them and me last night. And they don't deserve that, and I don't deserve it. Their parents and their reasons are legitimate. The thing is that I also know their history, and my reasons are legitimate. And even though I was being very selfish last night when I was speaking with them, every other time it's been them being the ones that were selfish. And I'm expected to understand the way that I dealt with things the right way. First, I went to the abusers and I asked them to stop. I went to my friends and family and they talked over me. I went to law enforcement and my therapist, like Nicole Peralta and Jeff Ritter and Nicole Jarrell. Number 4 was to go to social media, and that's what I ultimately had to do. People didn't want to stop to understand that people weren't just threatening me on the internet, it was in real life, and it cut me off from my support network. Cutting me off from my support network, taking me away from familiarity, making sure that I don't have a routine. And then there's the fact that you can't pill me to the point that I can function in an environment like the one I'm living in. A lot of people tell me to breathe. In order for me to speak without stuttering, I have to practice my breathing at all points in time. Also, there's a term called chameleon, and there's different types of chameleon. For somebody who's autistic, it's also called normalizing, where we have to pretend like we're like everybody else, and that's exhausting. I can't blink my eyes like this, which is what I want to do all the time, and there's a particular pattern rhythm to it, which I have to control that. Once I allow it to happen, it'll continue and it'll make it worse. I do this with my wrists, which hurts all the time. So I try not to, but the more scared I am, the more likely that is to happen. After the experiences I've had as a homeless person with the police, manipulating situations, running around telling other homeless people that I'm a tweaker. You're telling the tweakers that try to give me free tweak that I'm a tweaker. Yeah, dude, they know I'm not a tweaker. Anyway, I wanted to say that because I don't have familiarity. I don't have immediate family, and that is the number one reason for us being victimized and at the top of the list for every type of victimization. I don't mean autistic, I mean disabled in general. And when the term mentally ill can be loosely associated to prevent somebody who's easy to take advantage of and easy to manipulate, it's just not okay. Then people want to use my intelligence to pretend that I'm not easy to manipulate, except that I know how easy I am to talk over and how easy I am to take advantage of because of the desperation of my situation. And that also is considered both by law and also by the ADA and also by the, obviously not the American Dental Association. It is a situation that is very similar to somebody being taken advantage of because they can't understand. It's not that I don't understand, it's that I don't understand why I'm not getting help when I'm actually being victimized, when I'm actually in these situations, when I actually have these disabilities, and I'm being harmed by people who gaslighted me, and I was never allowed to show it because of my technological disabilities, and because people just wanted to assume. Most of my predators, the reason that they told on me is because I told on them first. They were angry and they wanted to retaliate. What were we going to do at one? I'm sorry for talking over
That's
it.
okay. I think it's good for you to be able to come in and just be able to let it all out. So what we're working on is we have a potential, this is a very short term, very small short term potential solution. We're trying to get you some funding for maybe a short stay at a motel right here. It would be at the Red Apple Inn for maybe up to 7 days.
I just wanted to let you know that it's $14 less per day to do the hotel down by the Fred Meyers. That's for, and they have nicer rooms also. I checked them all.
Well,
Also,
this is what was available. We had
Alright.
somebody call because of the holiday weekend. This is what was available for a set amount of days. And
Yes, ma'am.
so we potentially, we're just trying to apply for the funding to pay for it, but I have to get information from you.
The lady, the Asian lady who works nights, she's really funny and dry.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So, do you get SSI or disability?
I get disability. That's the thing, is that with all the names and all the agencies and all that, there's 8 different numbers just for the Health and Human Services that I had called just about having my money stolen. So they never did anything about that because, like I said, my communication problems. You've probably seen that.
Do you know how much you get a month?
I get $822, but also there's the fact that when Natalie was killed, and people keep wanting to downplay that, all of my money was getting eaten up going to the courts, going back and forth to places where I was being harmed and having to drive away to places where I was less likely to be harmed and had a quasi-support network. The problem is with it being all over the news, most of the people that I know in Nebraska, Wyoming, the news in Denver, the news stations there are paid attention to more so than any of the surrounding states' news, and it reaches that far. So when I went to jail in Scotts Bluff, people in Scotts Bluff recognized me from the news. This is 2 years after I was on the news. People in North Platte recognized me from the news. People in the Cook recognized me from the news. I could give you the names of so many people that were involved in this, and I also have the recordings with them that show how afraid they were. If I have a room, then I can process that. I did get a room, and there was a lady who was going to help me. The problem is that she had her son her son and her daughter taken, and she has something I can't pronounce. She also has brain damage from being physically assaulted, and she also thought that the Illuminati had something to do with her birth, which is really the first signal for me to run, but I'd already rented a room.
So you had attempted to try to be somewhere safe.
Did, and I needed the safe place so I could sit down and quiet and process the stuff, but without the assistance of that person, I wasn't able to.
Okay. Are you getting any other income besides 822? That's the only thing you get?
Yeah, I was getting food stamps, but they didn't give me any this month, and that all comes down to I'm sorry, I keep looking at your tattoo.
That's okay.
Like I said, I can't process it in this room, and you know, this is safe. The air fan, I can hear that. I can also hear that over there moving. I can also hear your pen rattling and all that, but that doesn't bother me. It's all low key, it's low sound. It's kind of like the sound of children playing doesn't actually interrupt me. It makes me, it puts me at ease. It's more likely to relax me and make me not work just because I feel good for a few seconds because it's the sound of laughter. Also the touching, because of not seeing my loved ones, the people that I'm comfortable with allowing them to touch me, I don't get hugs, and I understand that there's 11 different chemicals that the body produces over important things like hugs and also people's voices, especially when it's a familiar voice. People don't understand that when they hear their loved ones every day, and I read their texts, and that's it.
Okay. So how much did you pay in rent when did you leave her place? Let me ask you that first. When did you leave this woman's place?
Which one?
So you
One
were
here?
just, yeah,
I didn't actually stay with her.
Okay. it was, you figured it out pretty quickly?
Well, I did stay at her place, like on her couch for 3 or 4 nights. Like I didn't rent out the place. I rented out the little shed.
Okay.
And it wasn't rented out. It was her promising that it would be safe. Like this lady did invest some of her own money, and she didn't intentionally eat up any of mine. She didn't ask for any of my money for anything like that. It's not like she went out of her way to screw me over. It's that she, like me, neither one of us should be the ones helping each other. They're supposed to be professionals to help us. And with her mental problems, it was inevitable. And with my mental problems, when that happened, it was inevitable that I was going to freak out. The evidence is all I had to clear my name and save a lot of lives in prison. But as long as they keep me there, I'm fine. Gotta keep my little ones safe.
How,
To go around to all these meetings,
yeah, for anything in the course of a month? I mean, it's expensive, so.
what I realistically need is about $400 just to run around all that stuff.
Okay.
But I'm only able to spend $60 a month. I mean, I have enough to go to the meetings and back, and go to the library and back, to the parking lot down there that I'm still not allowed to stay in, but I'm not messed with for staying in it.
Tell me what your money is going for.
Okay, I spend $67 on my storage.
Okay.
I spend 75 on my telephone service, and it is important to spend that.
Yes.
I also spend almost 100 on insurance because of the continued lapse in insurance, because I didn't have any money to pay. But there's also the what other expenses do I have? There's the wear and tear on my vehicles, which is at least $100 to $120.
Do you have a car insurance? Okay. How much do you think that is?
It's about $100 a month. It's like 88 something. If I hadn't had any lapses in my insurance, then it'd be about 25 a month. But you're asking what it is, not what it could be.
Yeah. So. And then food.
I've been feeding a lot of people other than me, and I have to not get perishables, so I end up spending about $300 to $400 a month on food. Whereas if I had my own place, I could live on 75 a month.
Okay.
I'm a really good cook.
Okay.
Well, from my It's in the Lincoln Correction Center.
Again,
Oureada. The other one is Dr. Ted Hill, Tedhill. And one more, there's a nurse there. He used to be a social worker in King County, Washington. His name is Joseph Hall.
Okay.
Um,
And Lincoln.
Lincoln, Nebraska. Two of them are doctors that were very angry. They were angry that the people who did the intake were told by Scott DaCosta that there was no, as if I was some sort of a nut job. Noted that I was very different in their office than I was in my cell, and that's because neither one of those two men were antagonistic. Neither one of them were being mean or bullying me. Both of them did listen extremely well, and both of them had a good understanding of autism. Also, Ted Hill for certainly looked into the Natalie Bollinger situation. He said he had like 3 different diagnoses that he said he would have given her, and one of them, he said it's one of the most extreme. He was very opinionated. He's also
Did you get a diagnosis of autism when you were younger?
I did. It was in Washington State. I don't know what the doctor's name was, and since it was, I want to say 1989 or so, 1990.
And it was probably, would they have, do you think they would have put it as Asperger's?
They would have back then, yeah. That's one of the reasons my dad didn't want it. That was before all of the on the computer stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad said, all right, well, this guy is like the 2nd best neurologist in the United States. And he says that you have he didn't call it retarded disease. He said you have, the doctor, my dad's a dummy. I shouldn't say it like that, but he had to explain it to him. He called it the idiot savant's disease.
Okay.
So I was actually found to have hyperlexia in 1986 in Colorado, and most of the stuff that is commonly associated with autism, I was diagnosed with between the ages of 6 and 7. Later on, I was supposed to get a diagnosis of autism again when I was 16, but then I ended up having issues with my mom and her cocaine problem again. I ended up going to Pine Ridge Job Corps Center, and they told me, well, you're going to have to get the diagnosis when you get out of here after you turn 18. And then when I turned 18, I was homeless, and the doctors that I was able to talk to were only at free clinics. And they told me, well, you should have gotten the diagnosis before you were 18, because it's very difficult to diagnose autism after you're 18. Whereas over 60% of the females who are diagnosed with autism were diagnosed after the age of 25. So it is possible. It's just more possible for women. Meanwhile, most of the women that I know that have been diagnosed with autism, they were never autistic. They were popular when they were younger. Then they got into drug use and a lot of beatings and ended up with brain damage, which also reflects badly on all of us who actually have autism. But I did get one diagnosis when I was 9, and I got another diagnosis in Nebraska when I was 36.
Yeah, it's really hard. What age did you start getting Social Security benefits?
36.
Okay.
They're 37.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to do the disability paperwork, and then after disability came through, we were supposed to do the developmental disability paperwork. That's when Tamara quit at Regional Nebraska, and she really is, she's the key to everything, and she was Johnny on the spot. She knew her stuff. Her son's autistic, and he had Asperger's like me. So I've been diagnosed twice. I've also been misdiagnosed twice by police officers. Once in Longmont, Colorado, and that was over the Natalie Bollinger situation, and also once in Nebraska when Scott DaCosta ran around and told everybody I was schizophrenic. other than that, that's two of the big things going on, is that that's going to follow me everywhere, because the hospitals wrote it down, which they have to actually do some work to put that diagnosis. You can't just write it down just because a police officer said so.
Right.
Both of the hospitals that happened at have been in trouble in the past for doing that, specifically for police officers. There's also one other facility I was at, Clearview Behavioral Health.
Mhm.
They're shut down permanently. They had to change the name of it to Johnstown Behavioral Health, run by the same people, and they're shutting it down again. So that's where I was sent, and I tried to turn in Officer Will and Lolatai, the one that I was telling you about that was on Denver 7 News.
Mhm.
I also have my paperwork in the car. I guess it's over there, like I said, so I can prove everything. I just need people to look at it. What else?
Do you know security benefits for? What was the diagnosis they decided?
Well, when I went in and talked to the doctors, I had to go and see two different ones, and one of them was about the neurological stuff. That was Nicole Peralta, and there was 2 or 3 doctors and a licensed mental health care worker, and she herself is a licensed independent mental health care professional. God, that's a mouthful. So she was wanting to diagnose me my first day there, but that didn't get to happen, because she said that they're not actually allowed to do that, but that she knew I was on the spectrum, and that's how she refers to it, on the spectrum.
On the spectrum.
She doesn't say autism. Apparently that's a no-no in Nebraska. So the point with the developmental disability paperwork is that Nicole Peralta, like a lot of mental health care professionals, they're used to dealing with like depression and ADHD and bipolar and, common diagnoses. When it comes to autism, they're working with assumptions of it. And a lot of the people that I know who are diagnosed later in life never had autism, but they have a severe post-traumatic stress disorder. And that is shown by the difference between them in their youth and them as adults.
So never really got anywhere with the developmental disabilities.
Tamara quit, the lady who she recommended that I go to. I don't remember her name, but she was in Longmont, Colorado. When I got down there to Longmont, Colorado, which is where Tamara was originally from, it turned out that that lady doesn't live there anymore, and I don't know what all ended up happening with that. That's when I had to get a hold of Nicole Gerald, who went to Naropa University, and now she's an independent. She sent me to Jeff Ritter through the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless, and the caseworker that I was supposed to have was working with him. Her name was Kara Heller. I don't remember what your original question was.
About the developmental disabilities. They just
Yes.
said you just.
Tamara knew her stuff because she'd gone through it with her son, and she also had another relative that she had to go through it with, and they were able to get her other relatives set up. I don't want to quote that it was her uncle or her brother or anything, because I don't know for certain, but I do remember that her son was, and that's why she quit her job. I was showing her what I was going through with Natalie, and explaining it to her, and going to all my meetings and everything, and she realized how truly screwed I was, and she quit her job to make sure her son, who has Nicole Peralta, she sent me to, there was like 5 different people that we had to talk to, and a couple of them interrupted me because they thought it was rude. I was playing with this stuff on the desk. Apparently that's taboo when you're talking to a doctor, but it's easier to talk when I'm messing with my cane.
Exactly. That's why I have those things over there. Yeah.
These right here are so old. We had these in the 1980s.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, and these two.
Exactly.
People would buy these things for Christmas presents for me before they knew that these were for autistic people. And then I'd get made fun of for playing with my Christmas presents.
I know, now it's all like, this is what people do. That thing's been, I don't know, broken, put together, I don't know how many times.
I know a guy named Taylor, and this is no joke, and it's a good story, and I'll make it quick. He is Second place national. He might have won nationals a couple of years ago. He is autistic. He has Asperger's, same as me. He can take one of these and look at all the sides of it, close his eyes, and turn it back perfectly with his eyes closed, blindfolded. He can even do it behind his back.
Wow.
It's amazing.
I've never solved one of those.
So he had what's called a cheat sheet. He looked it up on the internet and he memorized it. And we're pretty good at that if we're in the right environment.
Mhm.
I'm the same. My ability to learn something when I'm in the right environment is
Mhm.
bar none. I'm just absolutely magnificent.
Mhm.
But out there, if you look at some of the recordings of me talking to some of these places, like the way they talk over me in downtown to answer a question, answering or asking multiple questions in a row. The next thing you know, I'm curled up in a ball begging people to kill me, and they're taking me in on suicide watch, which discredits me. Suicidal ideations. I started off with abuse. What else do I need to answer to get the possible room thing? There's other expenses
Okay.
that I don't get to utilize.
Okay.
I do need to be able to wash my clothes. Stuff that's required to keep myself warm and keep my blankets washed. I am living in my car, so obviously there's going to be the and my abilities with back preventing me from dumping the garbage. So there's a lot of expenses that are involved in that just from being homeless.
Right.
Just like I
Yeah.
said, $70 for food. If I got my own place to cook it, it's
Yeah.
easily 300 to 400 a month.
Are
Without
you able to go over to Adventist and use the laundry and the shower facilities, or have you ran into issues with them?
I ran into safety issues with them. It's not that they told me I couldn't go there. It's that the safety issues with one lady there in particular, who, by the way, I really like, but she's older and she's got opinions of an older generation, and they're scary.
Okay.
And she snapped at me when I was trying to explain to her about the mandated reporter thing and about the unsafety for me, as well as at least 3 other individuals who are disabled enough over there they couldn't defend themselves. That was specifically against Robert Farnsworth, and she snapped at me over that, and it's been uncomfortable for me to go back since.
Okay.
She also verified the issue with the fentanyl here, as well as the issue with the KKK here.
Mm.
So,
Okay. Okay. I don't know that there's any other alternatives. The why, you can take showers there, but you have to pay.
the other thing is, one of the people I have an issue with, Nate or Nick, he's probably the guy that dumped all my stuff on me over there at the Fred Meyers. That's one of the things that should have been investigated, and the cops skated their way out of. But he goes to the YMCA, he's working out at the gym, he's trying to get himself fit and be a good dad and all that kind of stuff. So I just assume not go somewhere where he'll pull a stupid and ruin his ability to be a father. I also don't have any money to go there.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm flat broke.
Because you are broke. When do you receive your money? First, third?
I usually receive it on the first of the month,
Okay.
but because I wasn't able to take care of it, they might not put it on my card. Somebody was telling me that they were gonna send me another card, and that I got a message on my phone that says that card was sent back.
Okay.
But living in my car, even though I have notebooks, I don't get to dig out my notebooks, and this is what my piles end up looking like. This is from the Dalles, Oregon. This is some of the stuff that was written down during phone calls. Some of the stuff people write to me that I got to try to translate. Also, I do need to mention that your suicide prevention information that was given by the Tillamook Family Counseling Center, nearly all of it is bupkis. The conversation tips, there's only one of them there that actually works. It's the word listen. All of the rest of it, you don't have to ask clarifying questions. When somebody's in a state of crisis, that could send them into overload. If they're autistic, like I said, stops the train.
Yeah.
Most people have one train of thought anyway. For somebody who's autistic, especially those of us who are higher functioning, we've got up to 6 trains or more going around in circles at once. We've only got one mouth. That's our tunnel.
Right,
So we can't speak all 6 of our trains of thought at once.
exactly.
It's not that we're confused, it's that people get confused easily when they don't understand how the train works.
Mhm. Exactly.
Asking how they're doing is important. If they tell you they're not doing well, you can ask them why, but chances are you don't even have to do that because they will probably start spitting it out immediately, especially if it's a guy, because us guys are so deprived for attention, especially positive attention or listening attention. We just let it all out. And then a year later, we're kicking ourselves in the butt for it because the person we let it all out to is going, well, you just need to be a real man. I remember you said, oh man, what was I doing? She said it's okay to cry, and now she's like, you're crying like a little bitch, remember? On the bright side, I don't get embarrassed. I can be ashamed, but I don't get embarrassed. And that's where most lies come from.
So living in the car, feeling very disorganized,
I am disorganized. I'm also scared.
which is not, maybe not typical of who you would normally typically be if you were somewhere where you felt safe. You would be much more organized, being able to access the things that you need, being able to think clearer. Okay. Which would lead to being able to access the money, Social Security, things would be better in line.
Yes, ma'am. And the thing about the emergency thing, that paperwork right there, that would allow me, as long as I'm there, as long as it's peace and quiet, then that would allow me to make phone calls that I need to make, even though I was told by lawyers multiple times before Natalie ended up dead that, hey, Sean, don't ever call those places alone. Make sure you write it down in a ledger. I can't do that from inside of my vehicle.
Right.
So that makes it difficult.
Do you have notepads, notebooks, or is it all just pieces of paper?
It's all just pieces of paper now because my notebooks have been buried.
I'm gonna give you a fresh one.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay.
This is like, this is beautiful. Artificial cardboard leather.
There you go. I think I used a couple pages out of it.
Yeah, I don't believe in having flogging booths. I only joke about it.
So you can start at least, hopefully this is all gonna go through and we're gonna get you, oh, touch something.
Whoosh. No, I'm good. I popped when I wasn't expecting it to.
Yeah,
Usually I brace myself. I brace myself before I stretch.
okay,
All right, go ahead.
okay. We're gonna hope that this is gonna go through. You're gonna get into a place where you can have at least, hopefully up to 7 days, where you can have some time to do some of this. And I
don't have the right battery in my car. I don't have an air filter. It's a sock.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of stuff with my vehicle, like my broken window and all that, that's all falling behind.
Mhm.
It's probably about $600 worth of wear and tear overall that it's going to take to fix it. So I did want to make you aware of that. It's all stuff that is functional for now, and I'm doing good.
Mhm.
It's because I'm smart, not because I'm a mechanic.
I knew that this at least was a place to start, so at least that you could have a place to start gathering your thoughts, because I knew that being able to sit in there and that quiet at least, and then it gives us some time to start like figuring out what else we might be able to do or what resources. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish filling this out and working with our care coordinators, who are the ones that are helping me with this, and then we're gonna send it off to Care Oregon or Columbia Pacific, and we're putting it in as urgent. And so hopefully we should know something
I
today.
talked to them on the phone and I had a meltdown at them. They probably ain't too happy with me since they hung up on me, but they kept changing the subject and didn't understand. Go ahead.
And that's okay. They still have to work with you. and us.
All right.
Okay,
The other thing is with advocacy, that's supposed to be somebody who can speak up for us.
Mhm.
And one of the things is that people can't speak up for us if they don't know what's going on. And we have a lot of people claiming advocacy and getting advocacy paychecks that are not advocating in the least bit. So that's something that for someone like me who has to have someone speak for me, they want me to speak organized, and all I can do is generalize. I can say on January 28th of 2023 at approximately 10:23 p.m. Dr. Stephanides assaulted me multiple times in front of multiple staff there. One of them being Miss Kathy, whose last name I don't know, but I know that her name was Kathy, and that was a situation that it started over. I can also explain that I was there because my back hurt, and also the person who took me there was, you see how quickly I forget his name.
Mhm.
I know that his first name is Michael, and he's got a street named after his family, McKinster.
Oh, McKinster, okay.
Also, I really like him. The issues that he and I have are over his not understanding of autism, although he has autistic relatives and he used to work with autistic people.
What I would like to do, I'm gonna do this. Hopefully it's gonna go through. I still wanna see you next week. I think I have space in my schedule. We're closed Monday. I think I have space on Tuesday. What I'm thinking of what we work on next is having you start signing releases of information.
Well, much of that is going to be difficult because many of the places, I don't mind signing a release
Well,
of
like even
information,
for Social Security.
but many of them are places that committed crimes against me, individuals within those organizations, and I have the evidence of that. So I'm willing to sign them. I just want it to be understood that it all needs to be taken with a grain of salt.
Well, it'd be like Social Security or to help like with Tillamook Family Counseling DD services to see what do we need
I
to
spoke with
do?
them yesterday and I recorded it. I explained to them that you had recommended me there and that you had called ahead of time, and that was over a month and a half ago. And that they, instead of doing what it is that they said they were going to do and what it is that you claimed that you had set it up for, they were just setting me up for counseling, nothing more.
Okay.
And yesterday I missed my meeting. I thought it was at 3:30. I was pretty sure it was scheduled for 3:30, but at 3 o'clock, that's when I was supposed to have my meeting. While I was checking on my phone to see if it was a 3 o'clock or 3:30 meeting, I ended up getting a phone call from somebody from either TFCC or tcchc. And then by the time I was done with that, I was like, you know what, it better be at 3:30 because I already missed it. And then I went there and they told me that it was supposed to be at 3, and they tried to set me up for another therapy meeting. I'm like, I already have 3 therapists here. What are you thinking? Like, do I need Dr. Janelle Boggs and then also Miss Brandine, I'm probably pronouncing her last name wrong. And then I'm supposed to go to these 2 people that I spoke with day before yesterday, who neither of their names do I know.
Okay.
And then there's this other lady who I'm supposed to go see. Her name starts with an A. And then there's a lady whose name starts with an A that's similar, who also works here at TFCC, or at TCCHC. So when they called yesterday and she said TFCC, I had to correct her and say, you mean TCCHC? Because she was setting up an appointment with you. That's actually at 3 o'clock. She's telling me that literally at 3 o'clock while I'm at the library picking up my stuff. I had been waiting for 20 minutes because there was a phone number. I knew it was the government phone number that everybody uses here in Tillamook. So when I called it back, I was pissed off. I recorded it on my YouTube channel why I was pissed off. And then when I was done with doing that, I proceeded to go to my meeting because she did call. I was waiting a lot longer than I wanted to, but I wanted to make sure that if it was an important call, it was taken care of. It was the situation with you. And yeah, when I went down there and they said to set it up for counseling again, since I missed it, I was like, well, that's not what I was sent here for, and that's not what the recommendation, what, you didn't call it recommendation, you called it a
Well, recommendation.
referral.
Yeah, referral for
Referral.
case management. So I think on their end, so to get in the door at Tillamook Family Counseling, you get set up for a full assessment. And so you get set up with a therapist. They do a full assessment and treatment plan, and in the treatment plan, that's where they can put case management and then assign a case manager, but they have to do certain things.
And in the amount of time that it takes to get that done, I am
Exactly.
victimized to the point that I can't function. I'm having mental breakdowns, and I will likely get arrested and put in jail for having a trauma response.
Exactly. It's way too long. The other avenue is they also have the developmental disabilities department, which is a separate department. So on Tuesday, we can look at that as a possibility. I just don't know if there's going to be enough information, because there has to be enough information prior to age 18 or age 21 of eligibility. So that's why I'd be curious what's with Social Security.
The courts in Colorado, the courts in Nebraska, the courts in Washington State, and the courts in Oregon would all be very happy, as well as the volunteer family and many of my predators who have been threatening my family, as well as for the safety of my family. If I were in a facility that was a 24-hour facility where I was monitored, that way if anything happens to my friends or family, or if anything happens to the volunteers, their friends and family, they'll go out and look for the person who did it instead of threatening to kill me and my friends and family again, or chasing them like they did with my little sister. I've got her words on that recorded as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, I keep talking over you, but
That's okay.
you can see the
Yeah.
social skills that I used to have in the last 6 years. I've lost them, having to beg people to understand that without their voices, I hurt.
Yeah.
Without their company, I hurt. Without their hugs, I hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand not having anyone in person, or the having to have structure. I can't structure it myself from a state of panic. And I can't train people the way that I did before Natalie was killed and before I hurt my back, because I'm in a state of crisis myself. So training people in proper crisis response is a near impossibility, because we're constantly rambling and scared.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm looking at is Monday at 11 o'clock. Would that work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And with that paperwork there, how long would we know on that?
Well, I'm gonna finish filling it out, and then I'm gonna go talk to my care coordinator, and she is the one that's gonna tell me that. And then as soon as we know, we will have Alana, who called you yesterday. She'll be the one to call you. I'm hoping we're gonna know quickly. We're putting it as a urgent need. So Tuesday, 10:45 with me. So it's my card. So we're putting it as an urgent need. I'm just gonna fill out all the details, get it all signed off, make sure that they have all the information they need from me. And
I can't perform because I'm scared, and I'm scared because I can't perform without help.
Yeah.
And it's not a Viagra thing. That's a mental block that comes from PTSD and fear and overstimulation. If I can't control the stimuli in an environment, at least to some degree, and it's constantly noisy, I will have a meltdown and I will be hurt. That's
So if we
that's
can,
documented.
we can get you at least a few nights of just some place to be, so that you can feel safe and collect, at least that's something, and that gives us a little bit of time to start sorting out some things. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Also, that would allow me a lot of abilities that I haven't had. All right, I'm breathing. That's one of the things that bugs me, is while I'm doing my breathing exercises, people will tell me to breathe. Like my friend Jason always waited until I put my seatbelt on, and he'd say, "You should put your seatbelt on, Squirtso."
I don't tell people to breathe.
Thank you for that, by the way. Like, but there's that one, and what's the other one that people say all the time, but it definitely doesn't work. It makes calm down.
Calm down. Nope.
Don't tell me to calm down.
That's right.
Yeah. So at least you're aware.
And I hope you notice that I try not to, I don't think, interrupt
I
or
think
talk over.
I think I did more interrupting and talking over this time. Our first meeting, I don't think you quite understood the situation I was in or the extreme fear. But I'm hoping you're understanding that the only reason I'm even able to communicate with you on this level is because I am far less afraid in this office and I can actually hear what you're saying. The hearing what you're saying, that's the one thing that nobody understands. If I can't hear what you're saying, I can't understand what you're saying. If there's traffic driving by while I'm talking to you on the phone, I don't know what you're saying. I just know there's traffic going by and somebody's talking at me, which it's not intentionally talking at me. But if I interrupt and I say, I can't understand you because of traffic, it becomes an argument. But then when the police are standing at my door, then it becomes well, I can't hear you and I can't understand you. You need to open your door. You need to open your window. I'm like, it's not going to get any better.
Exactly.
You're experiencing what I am right now. So please take this to heart instead of getting an attitude. They always get an attitude.
Exactly.
All right. I need to not talk your ear off because you do have other papers.
Well, my focus is going to be on getting your stuff done. That's what I have this afternoon. So
Thank
we
you,
will
ma'am.
get in touch with you and let you know. And don't forget this.
I will try my best not to have a meltdown this weekend. Is there any way I could get a prescription for being left alone by the police for 2 days? I promise not to be selling drugs. I'm just going to be parked there. You can't, I know.
Yeah,
It was a joke.
sorry. Prescription, please leave me alone.
Sometimes I have to tell people that I'm making a joke or being sarcastic because I don't smile about it all the time. When I did have teeth, I smiled a lot though because they were straight.
Nice.
Dennis.
Well, you still have a nice smile.
That's one of the things that's really good on my side and in my favor is that when the cops tried to play victim, they said I tried to bite them. I'm like, with what?
That's a good one.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You take care. I'll get the door for you.
Thank you, Dr. Boggs.
You're very welcome.
That sounds very sterile. What do I call you?
Danelle.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Or yes, this Danelle.
Yeah. See you later.
Yes, ma'am. You know, almost half the people that I saw when I walked in here today look like people I know from elsewhere.
What was that?
Almost half the people I saw when I came in here today are people that I recognize from elsewhere. Like that lady that was sitting right next to you over here. I was like, all right, I'm going to try not to stare at her, but she looks just like my friend Tabby.
We've heard she looks like a lot of people,
Right?
so we're used to it. But I feel that.
Nope, it's sober Sean, but don't tell my mother, she would not approve. All right, be safe, y'all. Thank you for having me. I'm going to try not to have a meltdown this weekend. Hey, do you guys have any more of the little,
Anything change? No?
the tide change, the little blue thing?
I got a sticker there.
Is that the only one you have, though?
That's the only one I have right now.
Well, I don't want to take your last one.
Oh, no.
You can give one to her, you can keep it.
Okay.
I'll share. I'll be
It's a
nice
really
today.
fun one.
You were to ask
Well, it's
me
going
next
right
week,
here on my
I
notebook, so I know exactly what it's for, and then I'm
Girl,
leaving
I'd
you.
still keep it to
You
yourself.
need that to go with it.
I might. We'll
Yes,
see.
ma'am.
I didn't see no one.
Throw kindness around like confetti. It's not confetti. Why does everybody think that if they change the name, it makes it somehow different? It's called unicorn dust,
Oh.
people.
Yeah, we used to buy little teeny $10 for my kids and tell them they were mermaid biscuits. So
Yes, we used to dig them out of the sand up in Puget Sound, but they don't live in Puget Sound. They wash in. All right, we'll put this here.
Thank you, I'll be back to get you.
And
nice.
we'll leave room on this side for a Moana
All the
sticker.
snacks today,
Okay, hang
Joel.
on 1 second. I might
Yes,
have
ma'am.
something.
Well, you guys, it evens out.
It does.
John? I got you one for the other side.
I like that guy cooks, but he's better looking than me, younger than me, taller than me, and he's got an accent, so we can't get along.
This one isn't really a sticker. You want some tape? The
I
other
could.
one was a sticker. Okay. It may fall off, but you'll have it on for a little bit.
Well, I have a whole bunch of tape in my car. I use it for taping my window back
Tape
together.
person. You didn't know I could do this, did you?
Well, I would hope that you had some experience in arts and crafts, especially given where you work.
Thanks a lot, but no pressure, right? How's that?
Absolutely.
That'll last you an hour.
I notice that people who are not artsy fartsy do not get along well with others, especially in service.
That's true. We have to be creative, don't we?
Right. I'm betting you probably have something on your table or on your toilet that you made yourself because it looks good or smells good. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. You have a good day and have a good weekend, Sean.
I'll pretend to the best of my ability.
Yes.
Y'all be safe.
Just remember, we're sending you good vibes.
Oh, shit. All right, now, could you imagine if I had gone in there stoned? No, it wouldn't have made things better. Being stoned, just like taking any other medication, whether it be NyQuil, Tylenol, it all affects your body, and it all affects your mind. A Tylenol does not affect my mind that greatly. It just keeps a nasty taste on my tongue and a nasty feeling in my throat that makes me gag. But I try. My texture problem. I have problems with eating M&Ms. Always have, because they taste like a friggin' Advil on the outside. So, it's the texture. And also putting two M&Ms together when they rub together, it feels like a chalkboard in my mouth. Not sure if you guys understand that either. When I had teeth, it wasn't such a problem, but trying to suck them to death while they're rubbing up against each other as a chalkboard in your face, not much fun. Anyway, I'm pretty much a big ginormous douchebag who doesn't care who he fucking offends. We're in a war, goddammit. We're gonna have to offend somebody. I know how to be a douchebag. I know how to treat people with equality. I also know how to fess up to my shit. Do I throw out false allegations? No. I throw out what I know to the best of my ability. As far as Sherman Watson and Amy Valkyrie pretending at me like my older brother is some sort of a child molester, well, fine, fuck it. We'll find out. Who are you accusing him of molesting, Sherman Watson? Who are you accusing him of molesting, Amy Valkyrie? If he actually did that shit, there's a victim, and the victim has a name. What's the victim's name? That victim should take my older brother to court if he did, in fact, do those things. If he did not, then you're just spreading rumors. With your spreading rumors, we could potentially get somebody killed. Now, why the fuck would I spread those rumors after hearing them? Because it's my goddamn job. That's right, it is my job to spread rumors. If you're gonna manipulate shit and start shit and fuck around with shit like that and play fucking head games, then goddamn right, it's my job to show it. Are you playing head games, or do you have an actual victim lined up who's gonna testify and say, hey, Eric Christopher Schwartz is insert after the blank? If Amy Valkyrie and Sherman Watson want to accuse my brother of doing stuff, well, if they're doing the accusing, he better have done it to them. Kind of like Maddie Boa. Maddie Boa wanted to accuse me of doing shit. Did I do it to her? Obviously not. Did the people that she claimed I did that to, did they say anything of the sort? No, they fucking didn't. You can thank Maddie Boa. Don't be a fucking dumbass. Alright, now I do feel better because I was listened to better. The first time I felt it was entirely inappropriate, but it was also, it's stupid. All of this just so that a mentally ill person can turn in a fucking police report. By the time we get around to it, I've already been pushed on to someone else, and that's the problem with Vicky Rain convincing me that she's gonna this, that, and the other, and me falling for it. Vicky Rain is not an evil person. For those of you who wanted to say that, oh, Sean, just fucking stay away from evil people like that. What she did can be construed as evil. It can be interpreted as evil. She fucked up big, and it fucked me over. It also cost her money, too. If it hadn't been for me being afraid for my evidence, I could have handled all of that. But having to be afraid for my evidence, well, that's where she really screwed up, and where she really made it so that it was a scary position for me. I was glad to get it back, so regardless of how I may feel about Nick, at least he brought my stuff back. The things that are missing are not major things, and they are things that I have duplicates of. So there's also a possibility that it is in there in one of the bags that I wasn't able to open up. Jared Scudder, Scott Scudder, Kara Scudder. They've all been the brunt of my fucking panic attacks. They've all seen panic attacks. They've all had similar stuff in their families. The fear is very real. Now then there's people like Jaden. Jaden doesn't have anything to be afraid of from me. At all. He's not stupid. He's been through the shit before. He knows the what's up and the what's downs. And even though I typed to him that if he fucking harasses me again, I'm gonna call the cops. I'm not gonna fucking call the cops on him. I like him. I'm just not gonna deal with assholes playing victim. If someone is dangerous because they called you a name, you better take a look at the name they're calling you. Am I accusing Jaden of being a child molester? Hell no. Am I accusing him of being a rapist? Hell no. And I won't. Not unless somebody comes forward and shows me that that's the truth of it. But Jamie Curtis, when she presented her emergency to me, it was a situation where even a couple of years earlier, I would have been able to show up there in person and help her with the issue that she was having. With my back fucked up, my vehicle fucked up, my monetary situation fucked up, The best thing that I could do for Jamie Curtis right before Natalie disappeared was to be very public about her fears because I couldn't be there to protect her. When she wanted me to fix it, that's the only way I could think of. I was already in a state of panic over not being able to see any of my loved ones. I already wanted my life to end because I wasn't able to see any of my loved ones. And then, of course, I got to deal with the situation of when a woman creates an issue like that and doesn't follow through, it's usually the guys that helped her that end up getting screwed. Thank goodness I'm the one with the big mouth instead of her coworkers. Otherwise, they could be potentially getting the wrath of Jamie. And I've got more experience with her. I've also got more experience with manipulative women. My mom is very good at what she does. Even at her age. She knows how to find a mark, she knows how to pick an easy target, and she knows how to spot desperation. She's also very, very, very talented at exploitation. Congratulations.